All right. All right. Well, good morning, you guys. It is exactly 9:01, so we're going to start with the call here. And your calls are muted. The call is muted. However, I will open up the lines at the end. But before we do, I wanted to go ahead and just set the call up and let you guys know. I know that we've been working on for the last several weeks. We worked on the whole sales. It's a personal thing. And we concluded that last week with having a powerful share and definitely some coaching on the call. And hopefully you guys all got a lot of value off that series. So for those of you who were not on the call, I'm going to recap really like in a minute because this is going to transfer over to creating a growth culture with your team. So now we're going to transfer over. Now that you've got an understanding of what it's like to have or to give a client an experience. Selling is nothing more or nothing less. It's nothing more or nothing less than you being able to connect with your clients and giving them an experience of them experiencing themselves in a new way. So I'll do it again. So when you're talking to a client, the whole call series of sales was all about whenever you are selling someone something, what they're buying is not the product and service. What they're buying at that moment is the experience of you allowing them, number one, for you to discover them. People want to be discovered. They want to be discovered because people are always hiding. So the fact that people are always hiding, when you're talking to them and you start to ask them questions, and we talked about the horizontal conversations and the vertical conversations, and we really got to experience, a lot of you guys sharing how you got to experience actually being there with your client and getting into their world of what it's like for them to be able to, in this case, maybe lose weight or whatever, and through your conversation with them, you allowed them to experience themselves in a new way. And it is through them having a different experience of themselves that allowed them to say, yes, I want to try the product. Yes, I want to join your boot camp. So we really drilled on that. And so the reason why I'm bringing that up is because now we're going to transfer that over, that whole philosophy, the whole mentality of, sales. It's a personal thing. And you guys, I really do believe that everything is selling. Everything. You going on a date, if you're selling yourself. You're selling a product or you're selling an idea, you're selling a service. Really, it is all about promoting something to that person. And we really, really got to get a clear understanding of how important it is to give somebody an experience. So now we're going to, a customer an experience. So now we're going to transfer that over to how you create a growth culture with your team. Okay? And this is pretty much along those same lines that we've been dealing with the clients, except for now we're transferring it over to your team, which is not really that much different. But now we have to shift a little bit the mentality, okay, with the same foundation of, remember this, people want to have an experience. A different experience of themselves is what gets people excited. So let's talk about this whole idea of creating a growth culture. So one of the things we want to start looking at is what are we looking for when we say we want to create a growth culture with our team, okay? So number one, someone might want to write this down. There's 5 points that we're looking for. Number one, we're looking for teams/people to be engaged, okay? We want people to be engaged. See, so many times teams, we want them to be excited about what we're creating and to feel invested in it. That's really what we're looking for. We want people to feel engaged by feeling excited about what we, as the mentors, the sponsors, the leaders, what we're creating, and to have them feel invested in it. Number two, sorry guys, I'm still a little bit sick. Number two, for growth not to be a mystery or luck. See, so many times, I don't know if you guys have ever experienced this, but you get like 10 clients, and you're like, oh, and then, you go to an STS, you go to an HOM, and they're like, how'd you do it? And you're like, I don't know. It's like this mystery, or you feel you got lucky that week, right? Or you got 10 new distributors or 10 new members, or you got to the next level, and people ask you, how'd you do it? And you feel that, I don't know. So what we're looking for is for growth to not, N-O-T, not be a mystery or luck. See, we want to have a designed plan as to how we're going to go about our growth plan, to have it all mapped out. Number 3, what are we looking for? We're looking for, number 3, for innovation to be happening. For innovation to be happening. See, people are being innovative about what we are creating. If people are being innovative about what we're creating, again, they feel invested and a sense of ownership to be part of it. So, for example, if you're creating a promotion or a fit camp or whatever, if you can have people feel that innovation, that if innovation is happening within your team, that they feel like they can contribute, that they can give you ideas, they are feeling invested and a sense of ownership. So they will be more inclined to go to that fit camp because they feel part of it. And as the leader, what you're looking for growth to happen, for the growth culture to occur, is you want to give them that open space. See, going back to the last call series, for them to be able to experience themselves as a contributor, to be able to have them experience themselves as an innovator. Okay? Number 4, you want to have a sense of relaxed control. Now, that was kind of like a hard one for me, but excuse me. So why do we say this? Because if you can have this, like this one lady, presidency member named Susan Morrow, she used to always tell me, Karla, relaxed intensity. And I really encourage for those people that are, intense and very energetic and high strung to really get that relaxed intensity, meaning that you're intense in a very relaxed, controlled kind of way. So if you can have a sense of relaxed control where if you as a leader can create that, you will create a growth culture because people will know that you're cool, you're chill. And I remember Dennis Dodell, a presidency member in Orange County, he once said this, and I never thought about this. He said, leaders like President Obama or like CEOs like Michael O. Johnson, major leaders typically they get paid to solve problems without losing control. Could you imagine the President of the United States getting up and speaking and like, oh my God, like going crazy? We would be like, oh my God, he gets paid the big bucks. Well, whatever, you know what I mean? He gets put in that position. A CEO gets put in that position to bring confidence and a relaxed control, relaxed intensity with the group. Because if the leader is going crazy and they lose their temper and they start yelling and screaming and they have no control, then guess what? The people that they're leading will only be a reflection. That'll be a chaotic team. So the way that you're creating a growth culture, number 4, is to have a sense, you as a leader, of a relaxed control, relaxed intensity. Number 5, you want to limit what we're looking for. Number 5, limit unpleasant surprises. Now, of course, there's always going to be the unexpected, right? But if you have things, if you have things go as planned, and although, yes, we're okay with unexpected things that will occur, we limit the undesired surprises. So when you actually have a growth plan, and it could be, for example, your growth plan could be, if you're just starting your business, your growth plan could be how to have 5 new clients this month. If you already have 5 clients, your growth plan could be how to get those 5 clients to reorder and get 5 more new clients and get 3 new coaches or two new coaches, whatever. That could be your growth plan. If you are looking to expand your business, and if you're looking to go from world team to get team, from get team to mill team, or from mill team to press team, one of the growth plans you must, and I cannot stress this enough, you must have is you must draw out your organization. You must have an organizational chart growth plan where you actually draw out your supervisors, your distributors, your success builders, your VIP 35%, and you draw everybody that's part of your team, you draw them out. And you have a growth plan. of what you're projecting every single person to do. So you're limiting those surprises at the end of the month. I get so, how do I say this nicely? I get so, the word's not pissed off. I lose my patience when I hear and I see, and it's because of my passion for like people, that when I hear someone say, oh my God, I missed my get team by 30 royalty points, or I missed this by this much, and it's like nothing, and I just want to strangle them. The reason is because I feel like, you know what, that is you can limit those unpleasant surprises. If you have a growth plan and you actually draw things out and you're on top of your plan, you can limit those unexpected surprises. Now, why do we say this? Because when you don't have a growth plan, there are consequences to that. Some people say, and I sometimes, man, do I wish this was for me, right? Sometimes that ignorance is bliss. And, maybe to some extent, right? Because then you live in this denial and you have no self-awareness and all this stuff. But the reality is, and this is why back in September, you guys, I can't believe we're almost coming into a year of doing these calls. Back in September, when we started these calls, all the focus for like 12 weeks was all about you. Y-O-U, like the you that you must look at in the mirror, to do a self-reflection, to analyze yourself, to really get present that you are the cause of your business. So what you don't know will hurt you. I know people think, oh, you don't know, it doesn't hurt you. Well, I beg to differ. What you don't know will hurt you. So consequences of not having growth plans are things like low sales, low retail sales, stagnant cash flow, where you're not having, you're just like, oh, well, I don't understand why I'm not getting cash flow. You're like, it's stagnant. Distributor turnover, if somebody signs up and they don't come back. Just a client buys a product and doesn't reorder. Or there's just a sense of, you're just being reactive all the time to things. Like, oh, my God, oh, my God, oh, my God, because that's a consequence of not having a growth plan. You have limited focus. You have inconsistent service. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. You have low profit margin, where you don't have a growth plan with your finances. Okay, God, I know I've been there, where I've made all this money and I didn't have a growth plan as far as how I was going to distribute my income. I didn't have control of my expenses. The money came in, money came out. You asked me how much. I don't know. How much did you keep? I have no idea. I remember that. Oh man, that's a big one. That was a really big one for me. Okay, unclear of who is your ideal customer. We're going to talk about that just in a second. You have a sense, when you don't have a growth plan and you don't have a sense of direction. I know I've been here. You lose your purpose, and sometimes you have a loss of a dream. Okay, that's a big one, and I pause on that one because I know I've been there one too many times, where if I don't have a plan and I'm just out in the clouds floating, I have no sense of purpose, no direction. Martha Cervantes' press team in Texas, I love what she says. She goes, if you don't know where you're going, you've already arrived. And I didn't get that at first until it happened to me, because when she said it, I was flying, right? I had the direction. We were our goal was to get the press team. And when she said that, now that I've experienced it, I'm like, oh, dang, isn't that the truth? If you don't know where you're going, you've already arrived. So a consequence of not having a growth plan is that you have a loss of purpose and a loss of a dream. And then you even start asking yourself, why am I doing this? Okay? So here's the thing. All these things can be prevented with the growth plan. When you start being reactive, you're putting out fires and have limited time to focus on the things that will create that growth in your business. When you have a consequence of not having a growth plan is having inconsistent service. Okay? And what that means is sometimes, customers are satisfied. Sometimes you get reorders. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes they're not satisfied. And you don't, and it's not really clear what systems are, or what is creating that result. What experience, okay, they're having, or what experience are you creating that's having them come back? And then when they don't come back, what experience, because if they're experiencing something when they don't come back. If they don't reorder, it's because they experienced something unpleasant. If they reordered, it's because they experienced something pleasant. If they come back to the STS, see, here's the thing. You got to get this. Yes, we talked a lot about having customers have an experience of themselves, a new experience of themselves. Now, I know that all of us were under the assumption that that meant having a positive, a good, pleasant, uplifting experience of themselves. But here's the thing you want to get. If you are not creating a good experience for them, then you're creating an unpleasant experience for them. So just sit with that for a minute. So if you're not if it's not positive what they're experiencing, it's negative. There's no such thing as neutral. It's one or the other. So get that for a minute in your brain, okay? Feel that in your body. So when you're with the clients, they're either experiencing themselves in an elevated, positive way, or they're not. So if you're talking to a client, you're talking to a new member, if you don't have a growth plan in mind, where you don't have it clear, what it is, Jennifer and Hector last week shared with us, and same with Sal, shared with us the questions that they were asking. Those questions were asked, and they were experiencing, the client was experiencing themselves in a positive, uplifting new way that had that client take action in buying the products. If you're not asking the questions, then that client is experiencing themselves in the old behaviors of themselves of, I never can lose weight, I never do anything for myself, I never follow through, whatever. They might not be telling you, but I'm telling you one thing, your brain is always saying something to you or something to them, right? They're saying something. So here's the thing, you want to get, and so what happens is you don't even know what is it that you're doing that's having them, that you're having them experience themselves in that way. So if you're not clear about that, then it's really hard to duplicate, right? But when you know what questions are great and you get self-reflection, you're like, okay, boom, that's your formula, that's your system to continue to have those things work every single time. Now, granted, you could have the perfect questions and the client just doesn't want you. That's a whole other ballgame, right? But your chances are better if you do it that way. Now, and then same thing, if you're not really clear with the growth plan, you waste time. I know I've been there. You waste time on unnecessary things. Maybe wasting your time on Facebook a lot or wasting your time on running errands, and you're really busy, but you're not productive. But when you have a growth plan, you're very clear and you're very focused. Okay, this is what I'm going to do today. This is what I'm going to do this week. This is what I'm going to accomplish this month. And you're checking your numbers, checking the gauges. Am I on track? Am I on track? Am I on track? Okay. And guess what? I'm telling you, I can't even tell you enough. I think that the best times of my vitality life have been that when when I have this goal and I'm totally driven for it, right? So anyhow, those are all the consequences that you could be having if you don't have a growth plan. So let's think about, what is the culture of growth? Okay, so write this down. The culture of growth is an environment that starts to dissolve these frustrations. It dissolves the low sales, the stagnant cash flow, the distributor turnover, you being reactive, having limited focus. When you have these growth plans in place, all those consequences begin to dissolve. And if you have the right systems in place, these problems will start to work themselves out. I can't say that enough. If you have systems in place, the right systems in place, these problems of all these things of turnovers and inconsistent service and all that stuff that we talked about, they will start to work themselves out. Okay? So here's a different approach to this, and that is rather than trying to get more, rather than trying to get more sales, get more distributors, get more clients, rather than trying to get more or create programs to motivate your current team or to motivate your distributors or to motivate your clients, here's my challenge to you. Don't get me wrong, you want to go out there and do the numbers, okay? But rather than just focusing on getting, I'm going to encourage you to start going deeper. And that is really the foundation that we started talking about the last couple of calls, and that is what is missing or what can we put in place so these things sort themselves out. So somebody on the call, I don't want to point her out, but somebody on the call before 9 a.m. asked me, she's like, and I asked her, she got before 9 a.m. So I said, hey, you want to take advantage of some one-on-one coaching? She said, I'm really having a challenge because I can have people order products, but they don't reorder. So rather than going to get, which you do want to get more clients, okay, but rather than just focusing, okay, well, who cares, I'm going to get more, rather than just focusing on getting, start going deeper and start thinking, what is missing? What is missing? And what can I put in place so these things don't happen again? What could I put in place? What could I shift? And that's what I was telling her, like, you got to start reframing the way you do things and reframing the way you think about things. Because when you do, then you'll be able to keep them, and you won't have to work as hard. You won't have to go get 5 new clients every single month because you keep, 90% of the clients you get. So then when you get new ones, that's how you have a growth plan. You're actually growing. You're not just, getting, losing, replacing, getting, losing, replacing. You're actually adding and adding and adding, and that is how you grow in your business, right? So it's not being heavy-handed. Like, oh, my God, and you're like beating your distributors down because they don't come into the meeting, or beating your distributors down because they don't come to the STS or the HOM or the fit camp. But instead, rather than just say, I'm just going to motivate them. No, why don't you stop and think about what is missing and really start going deeper. And so what will happen is the following, okay? And here's the questions you might have when this starts to occur. And that is, number one, how can I find and keep good people? When you're talking about a growth plan, this is like the most common question. Like, how can I find and keep good people, right? The second questions people always have is, do we really know what our values are? Like, I want you to really stop and think about that. Like, values, I'm not talking about right or wrong, but the growth culture that we're talking about here is like, what are the values? Like, what do we stand for? See, so many people talk about respect, value, integrity, customer service, etc. Those are all symbolic words. But what do they really mean? Think about that. And how do they translate into an actual experience? So you can say that the values of your team are, respect and value and motivation and innovation and whatever, transformation, right? But the thing is, really you want to get is, how do these things show up in actually experiencing them with people? Not only with your distributors, but how do the values show up with your customers? So when somebody comes to a new fit camp, when somebody comes to an HOM, when somebody comes to an STS, you want to think about what values, what experience do you want them to have? Not only from you saying it from the front of the stage, here we are all about integrity, we're a team, but you don't even have to say it because they feel it, because they experience it, right? That is what's powerful. So don't let it just be a tagline, but really be committed to having your distributors and your customers feel it. Number 3, we work so hard, right? This is a question people get all the time when they're growing their business. They're like, God, I'm working so hard, but I'm just not growing. I'm working so hard, but nothing's happening. So what is missing, right? And we think the solution is this content answer. Like, if only I had the right sponsor, or if only I had a different HOM, if only I had more this, if only, and full, and only, right? I had blah, 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 then everything would work out. And it's that, if only mentality, and after a lot of work, then after a lot of analyzing and a lot of things, then you come to realize that it's all about you. Changing your mindset, changing your beliefs, transforming the way you see things, transforming how you treat people, how you treat yourself. Last night I posted this video, and it's been like overwhelming the amount of responses that I've gotten. And it was because I woke up at 4 a.m, and this phrase came to my mind, and it was like, fake it till you make it. Really? No, Karla, it's time to get real. And I have a really blessed life, and I'm very grateful. But for the last 2 weeks that as you guys have known, I've been really sick. I was like really out for a week. And during that week, I really felt lonely and all this stuff, right? And I really got that all those external things that I was feeling were all self-created. So when you're working really hard, you've got to get that it's something within you. It's not that you don't have the right people. It's none of that. It is you're not attracting the right people because you need to shift your way of thinking. And listen, I can tell you this, but I know that me saying it is easier than doing it. I get that. Okay? But here's the thing, we work so hard, and I know so many people work so hard and they don't get the results. It's because they're just in the content, motions of things. Maybe you're telling the marketing plan, but in the back of your mind, you're like, I don't believe this. And you don't even have to say it, but people can feel it. Or you can do a crappy marketing plan demonstration, but your enthusiasm and your energy is like, this is the best thing ever, and people sign up left and right, and it was the worst presentation because there is an energy that doesn't need to be explained. And I'm telling you, I know it's easier to said than done, but that is what's going on with many people where they feel like, I don't understand, it's just things are not working. Well, it's because it's not that you're not working, but mentally things are not okay inside. So last one, and that is, why do I always end up being the one to drive results? This is like the big entrepreneur dilemma. And that is, why me? Why is it always me? Why do I always have to be the one to do things, to do everything? But here's the thing you must get. As the owner, we are the ones that are driving the results. As the owner, if your team is moving, it's because you as the leader, you're moving. And now here's the thing. You might only have one distributor on your team. You might only have 5 distributors on your team. And you're looking at your sponsor and you're waiting for them to put together the stick camp, for them to do the HOM, for them to do the house party. If you're waiting on them, you're going to wait for a long time. That is not leadership. Listen, I'm not trying to put myself on the spot here, but I remember, my dad's my sponsor, but he was never around. He was always traveling, doing his thing. I really started my business on my own, and I remember I used to do little, growth plan meetings with my distributors, and it was like 3 of us. But guess what? Those 3 drove me to get to get team in 6 months, because we had a growth plan every single month. We were like, hey, this is what we were going to do. And I took it upon my own hands. We would go to Angelica's house in Vacaville, and it was just 3 of us. 4 of us, then 5 of us. But that's how it started. So, as an owner, you got to get that it is really up to you, because it is your business. Now, if you have sponsor support, if you have SCSs, local SCSs, well, that's great. But guess what? As soon as the SCS is over, you grab your team and you go, so what you think? You're not looking for your sponsor, waiting for them to do it. I mean, that's just, if you really want to have a powerful growth plan, you really got to get that we are the ones that drive results. And it starts with what's real. Not pretending that you're a leader, but what's real. Don't get into this fantasy world of only my sponsor would help me. If only, you guys, that is wishful thinking. And honestly, I don't know about you, but that, to have your life be in somebody else's hands is not empowering, and I'm going to finish with this, and that is, what am I missing? I want you to think about that with your growth plan. Everything we talked about, this is going to be a four call series. There we go. But I just want to lay the foundation of this. What is missing? We think the solution is content, that the answer is the right script, the right HOM, the right this, the right that, the right tools or whatever. That is an if-only type of mentality. But then one day you're going to stop and you're going to think about everything, and then you're going to realize, oh my God, it's up to me. If it's meant to be, it's up to me, right? And who needs to change, who needs to transform, who needs to, recreate or whatever is really me. And that brings us, to the why is it always me sometimes? I know you're going to have that question, but why is it always up to me? But here's the thing, that it's not the system. It's not anything that drives results. It is you. And if you can really own that, it is powerful, because you can't complain oh my God, why is it always me? Why me? Why me? But then I don't know about you, but that is what's powerful about this business or about any business, is that you have complete say on how things go. And I know your mind thinking, no, it doesn't. My team is only my team. No, it is not about the team, because if you have a lazy team, look in the mirror. All right? And if you're like, I'm not lazy, well, then guess what? Then you're not promoting the experience that you want your team to have. You're promoting a different experience. Therefore, that is what's being a reality in your team. So I really want you guys, we just set the foundation. Next week, we're really going to talk about what does it take to have the team, from their own passion, feel connected to the mission and the business that you're in. But I wanted to really get this week, like, the foundation of these questions. Like, how do we get people engaged? How does growth not be mystery or luck, but you actually by design? How do we have your team be innovative? How do we have this relaxed intensity? And how do we limit these surprises? So, when you start thinking about, finding good people and what are your values, what experience do you want people to have when they come to your business, whether it's Fit Camp or HOM or whatever, your nutritional club, what is missing? What can you create results? I want you to start getting the foundation of thought on this. Because next week, if you can really get that it's really up to you, we're going to talk about this whole thing, which I don't believe how they say there is no I in team. I'm going to challenge that next week. So I'm going to go ahead and finish the recording. I'm going to open up the lines to see if anybody has any questions or any comments. So hang on really quick. Don't hang up.